So now item 21, the Christchurch Heritage Festival Community Grants. And again, we can take this report as read, quite self-explanatory. Were there any comments that staff wanted to make on the report before we move to questions?
I think just to speak to COVID and the latest situation and how that possibly could impact or affect the Heritage Festival. At this time, we are still hoping and planning to proceed. 55 community groups, sets of volunteers, organisations have already registered an expression of interest. 9 have already come forward with event plans that they want to propose to put in. The event planning process for any event to be included has to include a health and safety event in the event plan. This will nowadays include very, very detailed provision for mitigation around COVID issues. Implications that relate to that are things that staff will look at very carefully. No one can predict where we'll be on the 24th of October, but we still feel it's really important for those community groups and volunteers to move forwards with their planning and to hope of working towards there being a heritage festival and a chance to celebrate. Should things change, we'll roll with it and work with it. One thing I've learned over the years, I've worked with these community groups in heritage. They're incredibly adaptive, resilient, tenacious. If things change, they will change their events and we will help support them to find a way to do as much as we can online or by alternative means so that the event in some form can still go ahead wherever we are and whatever's happening at that time.
Great. So given where we are at the moment, I think they're particularly timely and relevant comments. So the suggestion is, of course, that we would proceed as planned, realising that any changes to COVID alert levels would require changes to what's proposed. But clearly there's quite a bit of flexibility that you're already thinking about there, anticipating, realising that we don't know what the world might look like in October. That's fine. Thank you for that. Are there any questions? Tim?
Yeah, Victoria, thank you. And I totally agree with you at the process going forward, because some of these smaller groups, it's actually a really big workload for them to put these things through. So, and at timing and all that. So I think I commend you on that. And whatever happens, happens. We just got to roll with it, like you say. I'm just wondering, and I know they're small amounts of money, but the result from it can actually be really big. So it is for the community understanding and expanding the knowledge of heritage, etc. So I'm just wondering, do you have a process of visiting the events proposed? I mean, there are a lot of events, and I know you can only do, staff can only do so much, to get kind of feedback and see how some things roll better than others. Have you thought of that?
I'll let Deborah speak to this. We go to as many as we can and get as much feedback, but there is actually a feedback process that Deborah can explain, whereby we ask the community event providers who have received funding to give us some feedback about how they felt it went, the comments they got back. So rather than us judging it from our council heritage perspective, we ask them to talk to the people who come to their events from their communities, what feedback they got and what they feel succeeded or not.
Cool.
Yep, so that is part of the process of accepting the grant, is that they fill in that report following the event, and we have sort of targeted questions about attendance and what went well, what didn't go so well. So we use it as a sort of a vehicle for learning for going forward as well.
Well, thank you. I mean, as an old event organiser, I mean, if I was asked to do my own, it's always 100% and really full, and but not to be negative. But I think if there's some way, a general way, maybe online, that people can feedback to our events, generally would be a really good way to forward. Because obviously, as an event manager, my events are always 100% fantastic. So, but thank you a lot. Really appreciate that you're saying you're trying to get out to as many as possible. Time's valuable. You've got families, so really appreciate the work you're doing. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Any further questions? All right. So I'm happy to move this. Do I have a seconder? Anne Galloway. Any debate? I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you.